We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Airbnb supports LGBTQ plus travelers with safe spaces, revealing the top 10 destinations and the importance of inclusive language by hosts.
This Pride Month, HHS Secretary Becerra visited Miami Pridelines showing support for LGBTQ plus and Latino communities.
Orlando honors post-victims with acts of love and kindness and remembrance ceremony, showcasing enduring unity on June 12th.
Out Leadership's annual index rates states LGBTQ plus acceptance scores fall for states, including Florida, as anti-LGBTQ plus policies rise.
Fred Grimm left the Sentinel after 56 years. His column lamenting Florida's grim political landscape went viral.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening television news broadcasting live and then available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news for Monday, June 10th, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens unique in the LGBTQ plus news, you'll see it and hear it.
HOTspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ plus community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ plus community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our queer culture, the Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans, students and youth, seniors, HIV and AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus nonprofit media companies in America, HOTspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2024, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus community and broader community.
Thank you, Jamaal. You look extra sexy today, by the way. I'm just saying.
Thank you, boo.
All right, let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight because we've got a hot and heavy table today, or it's going to be a good-ass show. Let's begin by meeting Dr. Edward Summers. He's the executive director of Pridelines, Miami's LGBTQ Community Center. He was also the founder and CEO of the New York-based nonprofit, The Thinkubator. Edward, so Zodiac Supper Club, Summer Solstice with Pridelines is coming up at the Standard. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so the Standard, in celebration of Pride Month, they love to do various events supporting local organizations, and this year they picked Pridelines. So basically, I'll be with about 100 and 200 people or so and doing a one-on-one interview talking about Pridelines, the importance of Pride, and what it means to people in this community, and what it means to Miami Beach and Miami-Dade County. So very excited to have this great opportunity to do this interview, and more importantly, they're raising funds for Pridelines, so it's great.
Cha-ching! Listen, and it's the Standard. What a beautiful place in Miami to have this as your location.
No, it's great.
Love it. Make sure you join them.
Yes.
Next up, let's welcome Edward Zielke. From a successful career in financial marketing to his current role as the director of marketing and sponsorship for the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida, Edward's journey is marked by accolades and achievements, so many that we would take another hour to tell you all of them.
Yeah.
The Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida is one of the largest and most important LGBTQ plus cultural arts organizations, and a lot of those boys are hunky too. Welcome back, Edward Zielke. How are you, Edward?
I'm fantastic. We got so many great things happening with the chorus. This week we're going to be at Pride Fantasia. That's over at the venue or the Manor. And that's on Wednesday. We're going to be performing with Matthew Darren and the D-Rock Productions and stuff, and we're very excited about that. We're also going to be in the Stonewall Pride Parade as well. We're going to be marching, and you'll be seeing us there as well. We're going to be advertising our end-of-the-year concert for Pride. It's called Pride Then, Now, and Forever. It's a multi-generational concert celebration. You'll hear songs from ABBA, the Weather Girls, Diana Ross, Cher, the Village People, so you get a little little bit of everything. So it's, pride anthems that we're celebrating and all the generations that make up the LGBTQ plus community.
I love it, and I look forward to it. You know that I have to announce the parade for Stonewall Pride Parade. So when you beautiful boys are walking by, I'll be screaming and yelling.
Yeah,
you know that.
They'll
sure.
appreciate that.
I look forward to it.
Love it.
Next up, let's welcome anchor Jamaal L. Starks, aka Porcelain. Look at that skin. Look at that side view. Yes. Jamaal is the president of Impulse Group Miami. He's a sexual wellness advocate, coach, and walks as sex siren in the ballroom scene with the House of Gorgeous Gucci. Jamaal's a board member of the Legacy Builders Consultant Group. I love those people over there. They are incredible. Part of South Florida's Fit, Safe Space team. Okay, got to give it the respect that it deserves. And the Queer Yoga Club at Miami Life Center. Jamaal, so Miami Life Center is hosting the Queer Yoga Club Pride Month on June 29th. Tell me what's happening.
It's our 2-year anniversary.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
And shout out to Kino and Tim who run Miami Life Center. Shout out to the directors, Edgar and Joseph, who are my great friends. And with Alan and myself, we'll be having the Queer Yoga Club. We're back. And it's on Saturday the 29th at 11 a.m. I'll be doing sound bowls. Edgar will be doing meditation and also some prana yin. And also we'll have some delightful snacks and community conversation. I'm so happy, even with all the other stuff I'm doing with Legacy Builders and also Impulse Group with Stonewall Pride.
I love it.
Your lovely face.
I love it.
From the parade.
From the parade waving, right? But I'm all about the Queer Yoga Club Pride Month event because I had friends that went last year and said that it was just 2 hours of amazing yoga, being able to share different walks of life and experiences and learn some wonderful things about each other.
Yeah, it's literally like a we are the world sort of situation in our yoga studio.
I love it. United Colors of Benetton in yoga. All right?
That's right.
Next up, let's welcome Harrison C. Davies. Harrison is a level 10 Google local guide whose contributions have amassed an over 600 million viewer following. Wow, Harrison. Did you leave a rating on me? I'm going to go look.
Yeah, we'll check that out after.
Harrison is well known in the community for using this platform to give hundreds of small businesses a voice and exposure in the greater South Florida region and beyond. Welcome back, Harrison.
It's great to be
Your
here.
second time here. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling great. It's always an honor to be here. I love the way we mix it up here. I love the opinions, and I loved diving into all the stories. So, let's get to it. Yeah.
We love you at the table. So
I may have given you 1 star, though, so just...
Oh my God.
we can amend that, don't worry.
Wow.
We're going to have to boot you up the table, boy.
And just like that, I won't be back again.
I was going to say that. Folks at home, guess who's not talking today?
I had a good run, though.
And of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She is the legendary events host, television and radio personality, and the host of the FayWhat Show. And you'll catch me in bed with her too on Mondays at HOTspots Happening Out. Faye, the Stonewall National Museum, Archives and Library presents The Shot Glass Heard Around the World, Stonewall Reenactment. It is on June 29th. Can you tell us what's going on, lovely lady?
Listen, Marsha P. Johnson, a black transgender woman and self-identified street queen. Johnson was an HIV plus sex worker who co-founded STAR, in 1970 to help shelter gay, transgender, and gender nonconforming youth. She's credited for throwing a shot glass at the Stonewall bar mirror when requested to line up by police during a raid. Now known as the shot glass heard around the world. So where will you be when Marsha P. Johnson, played by the beautiful Kristen Lovell, throws the shot glass heard around the world at Stonewall National Museum, Archives and Library for the first ever reenactment of the Stonewall uprising that took place on that fateful night in June 1969. The reenactment will start at 4:30 p.m. All are welcome and all attendees are invited to participate as part of the crowd that gathered as they did on Christopher Street right outside the Stonewall Inn in the wee hours of the morning of June 28th, 1969. Following the reenactment, there will be a light refreshments, a bar, and tours of the Stonewall Inn Stonewall Recreation Exhibit. Join the Stonewall National Museum Archives and Library in Fort Lauderdale, June 29th. Get your free tickets at stonewallmuseum.org. Without Stonewall, there would never be a Pride. Thank you, Robert Keston, for all you do, and I will see you out there. So we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, June 10th, 2024. First this evening, let's queer up the world view. Wilton Manors, only small city to make LGBTQ plus Airbnb travelers world's top 10 list. Airbnb, the online marketplace for short-term and long-term stays, proudly supports the LGBTQ plus community by providing safe spaces for queer travelers and hosts. Airbnb analyzed host listing and customer reviews, yielding some totally gay results for a June Pride Month announcement. They identified the top 10 LGBTQ plus destinations and found that inclusive language significantly incentivizes LGBTQ plus travelers, who constitute a large portion of leisure travelers. A study revealed that 41% of LGBTQ plus travel respondents use Airbnb, 8% higher than American leisure travelers overall. Airbnb also noted a 90% increase in hosts using inclusive language since 2017. Positive LGBTQ plus experiences were linked to inclusive language and welcoming environments. The results are now in. Based on customer reviews, Airbnb's top-rated cities for LGBTQ plus travelers include major cities: Toronto, San Diego, Puerto Vallarta, Wilton Manors, Paris, Madrid, Chicago, Seattle, New York City, and London. Fun fact, Wilton Manors is the only small city that has made it to the list of 10 best in the world for LGBTQ plus Airbnb in the current political ambiance, where conservative organizations and parties are adding fuel to the anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric. It is refreshing to see our small city is still offering a safe place to the worldwide LGBTQ plus community. These statistics are also a reminder of how businesses can thrive if they are inclusive. You know, now more than ever, gay people, LGBTQ plus people want to spend their money in places that they are supported, in places that they're welcomed, you know, and with all the anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric, we have to be careful of where we go. Mm-hmm. We really depend on reviews. We really depend on inclusive descriptions to let us know that we are going to go stay in a safe place. Your Airbnb is your home.
Yeah.
Away from home, and you've got to feel safe there.
Yeah. No, that's very important. My first international trip, I was a flight attendant way back in the day. Continental, if y'all.
I think I saw
United now.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And my first time traveling across the pond to go to Paris, my best friend and I were like, we don't know anywhere safe. We don't know. And this is pre-Airbnb, pre-social media and things of that nature. And we had to go off of reviews and everything online. And we ended up finding, I think, Mr. B&B or something like that.
Okay.
And staying with a lovely gay couple in Paris.
Oh, I love it.
That had started in America, and then their love affair ended up in Paris. But it was so beautiful. But we really do depend on these types of things, like you were saying.
Yeah. Harrison, I'm going to ask you, because you are that top Google stars person, 6 million people are wanting to know what you have to say about their business.
Well,
and
you know, I appreciate Jamaal bringing up, you know, the turning back the clock a little bit. And, you know, although I still see that logo sometimes sitting on the side of the planes. I do not know what that was about. Branding mishap, perhaps. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. You know, 20 years ago, you know, somebody said, we're going to put the biggest taxi fleet in the world together without a single cab, you know, Uber, or in this case, we're going to put the biggest overnight accommodation aspect together without a single hotel. You know, I would be like, that's crazy, but here it is, Airbnb in the flesh. I think it's also really a testament to how, like, the businesses, the hunters, the venues, the Sunsers, the Claudia Castillo art galleries really need to stand on their own right now, because people are seeking out this community to stay in, to make it this destination for Airbnb. We do not have any hotels, although, as you know, there is one coming.
They're coming.
So I think it's kind of ironic that we got that kind of just, you know, that distinction in this time with, you know, all the controversy surrounding the hotel. But with that said, you know, I mean, it's an honor, and I think reviews, people leaving feedback, people providing imagery to give it that accreditation is what we need, and it sounds like it's been taken off pretty well.
Yeah, and I've got to be happy that Wilton Manors is like the only small city in that big list of other cities. Was that what you were going to say?
Yeah, no, that's no. I think we've been on the show too long. Yeah, absolutely, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say Toronto, San Diego, Paris. Yeah. Like, I mean,
get out of my head, Edward.
I know, right? I love you.
We're in very good company, that's for sure.
No, but seriously, but like, these are major cities, and here you have little Wilton, right beside Miami, but Wilton gets the destination as being like a safe place.
Not Miami. Miami's not on there.
Miami's not on there. And I'll tell you this, working at Pridelines, we get calls or emails all the time, whether it's from people from other places or businesses who ask the question, is it safe to come there? We had TD Insurance, which is not to be confused with TD Bank. TD Bank is only in Canada. They came to Miami Beach and they had some legitimate concerns about whether they were actually going to host this major conference where they fly down 300 employees for this like stars week. They had questions about whether they were going to do it because of some of the things that they heard in the media about, impacting the trans community. So these ratings are so important.
Yeah.
And Little Old Wilton with all these major cities, I think is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I just love it. I think it's great. And I know sometimes, some people who have questions about Wilton are there. The question is diversity. There's a lot of work to be done in Wilton.
Of course.
But it is a safe hub for us as a community.
It is a safe hub.
I could walk there and feel safe and not. Listen, I was walking with my little pum shorts, and David saw me yesterday, right? You know, and I felt free to do that.
Yeah.
In certain communities, I may not. Going back to the South Bronx, do I do that? No, maybe not.
I think
my shorts are a little bit longer usually when I'm home in the South Bronx, where I'm from. And I'm from there, but my shorts are a little bit longer. No, but seriously, I think it's something to celebrate, something to be happy about. We do rely on these reviews to know whether a community is safe or not, whether Airbnb is safe or not.
Yeah.
Thank God for these reviews. I've seen a review that said that all that was in the house was Trump signs. You think I'm going to say there?
No, of course not. So that's good to know,
but it's good to know this information. So I think that this is great for us.
Zielke, I'm going to be devil's advocate on this one, though, okay?
Sure.
Because, I love Wilton Manors. I spend my hard-earned money there. I spend my free time there. My friends live there, right? But not a lot of my friends can afford to live there. Okay. Do these Airbnbs take away that possibility of renters, that LGBTQ plus renters living in Wilton Manors?
No, I don't think so. I think, the city itself, yes, is tending to become very pricey, I think, in terms of real estate and in terms of the businesses. And you're seeing a lot of like small businesses maybe relocating to outside cities like Oakland Park and Pompano and stuff. So you are seeing that little bit of a shift. But, they're out. I know that they're moving, I think, the Pride Factory, I think, down the street.
They're moving to the old Wilton Collective.
So there's adjustments to be made all around. So, but I just think that it's so wonderful that we have, a device like Airbnb out there, and there's just getting more LGBTQ plus exposure for us. But yeah, I agree. Just to see it in the top 10 of anything, just let alone cities like New York and Paris, and it's just fantastic. So it just speaks well of who we are as leaders in this community, especially because I live in Wilton Manors. So it's personal for me because I've been here 13 years and I've seen such a progress in like leadership and people stepping up and just coming even out of the pandemic too. I think there was a new charge with all of it.
So
I love that.
Sorry, go ahead, Jamaal.
I wanted to make mention of Wilton Manors being there, but also I've been seeing the spread of not only the acceptance of LGBTQ plus activity, but Oakland Park Pride, this last one, I was blown away. And I was just so happy to see the spread up Dixie Highway. And even with, when you search Airbnb and you find that little map and you find Wilton Manors or you find little communities, you also find other communities that are more accepting as well because of the example that's being set right down the street. I think this also draws attention to just the Fort Lauderdale area, our little bubble here, you know?
Yeah.
It draws attention to other places that might not be as pricey as Wilton Manors, but might be just as cleanly, as clean and well taken care of.
And it's good to see a lot of like the communities building like LGBTQ plus. There's like for the chorus, there's groups all the time that want to come and see the show. And so there's one that's North Beach LGBTQ plus, and I think they're in the Lighthouse Point area. So it's so great to see that there's activity, surrounding Wilton, and it spreads, because they see the good work that we're doing.
It's a good spread. It's a good spread. Not like that.
But there's still a lot of work. There's still a lot of work to do. But
Edward, what were you going to say last comment?
So this is the last comment, but I think there's a lot of work to do in terms of just affordability. Wilton is getting very expensive, and it's not as affordable for some communities, particularly communities of color. The trans community, it's very, very, very expensive. And I think that if we're to maintain Wilton as this gay hub, that's something that the municipality has to look at is housing affordability. And maybe it's the role of the housing municipality to develop affordable units to make it affordable. And also to make it continue to be gay. Because what tends to happen, and this is study after study, we look at New York, we look at some of the major cities, the gays move to a community, they make it nice and beautiful, and guess what happens? No offense against you straights out there, you come in and you gentrify and displace the community. And so we, I love this destination, but I think you brought up a real issue, Faye, the fact that, the municipality really does have to look at this if it's to maintain its place, with these 10 major cities.
Completely. Very true. Edward, what's next?
Oh, yes. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Pridelines is awarded $50,000 from LGBTQ plus Equity Fund Grant Award a day after HHS Secretary visits. Recently, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra visited Miami to underscore the Biden-Harris administration's efforts to support the LGBTQ plus community and reduce prescription drug costs for the Latino communities. Secretary Becerra's first stop was at Pridelines, Miami's only LGBTQ plus community center. Here, he engaged with the center's staff and discussed the healthcare needs and services for the LGBTQ plus community. During the event, he outlined the administration's historic actions to ensure the LGBTQ plus youth, adults, families, caretakers, and providers have the resources needed and support they need, accessing necessary health services free from discrimination. His visit was historic for Pridelines and drew attention to the growing need of a nonprofit organization for LGBTQ plus youth. The HHS Secretary's visit drew great attention to Pridelines' mission. The next day, a public announcement was made by the Miami Foundation and the Our Fund Foundation to provide an equity fund grant to Pridelines for $50,000. The grant will support their work in helping assist housing insecure LGBTQ plus individuals and to explore sustainable solutions to the challenge. Well, congratulations.
Woohoo!
That is fantastic news. It just gives us such a good hope for the youth in this, in this area. It's been so needed. I feel like, in the last few years, it's just been kind of like a taboo subject for some of us to talk about. And so it's good to know that there's a charge coming to help the LGBTQ plus youth, and, it's starting with you. So
no, this is great. We're very excited. This story has two parts to it, right? So the secretary's visit, and what was really important about that visit was a greater attention to healthcare access and access for things like PrEP and PEP and antiviral HIV medications, and that was really, really critical. What the story, what we should have said about in this story was that the fact that the secretary met with a group of individuals who are long-term survivors of HIV and who have been living with and who have been major clients and supporters of Pridelines. He had a very intimate conversation with them. It was great. It was lively. Our long-term survivors, they're very boisterous and they'll tell it just like it is.
Wow.
And so I wasn't even in the room. Literally, it was their support group and the secretary. And the secretary came out saying, you got a great grouping. Like they had no problem.
They had no qualms telling him how it is.
No. And it was great because I didn't realize that, but we've been in the spotlight with the Biden administration because of a friend of ours, so it's been great to hear that they've been talking about Pridelines in the Biden administration. So not just him, but even the VP. So
wow.
So it's
Kamala Harris is thinking about you, Edward. Kamala Harris is thinking.
Great, but more importantly, I'm glad that the group of long-term survivors got the opportunity to express their opinions and perspectives about the healthcare system and the role that Pridelines has played in supporting them through their journey. Pridelines has been with these individuals for 10 plus years, supporting them and just providing wraparound services to them and providing, more importantly, a space for them to connect with each other. And so that was huge for the secretary. He was blown away, really loved it. And another part of that visit is that Pridelines just launched April 1st, our PrEP initiative, where we're giving out PrEP and PEP. And one of the things that we're focused on doing is making sure that places like Liberty City have access to important medications because Liberty City is ground zero to new infection rates.
Well, can I ask you that? So I have a couple of questions on this story. First of all, what is an equity fund grant?
So equity fund. So this is a grant that. So the task force actually, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, the task force, when they took over the Winter Party, they decided that they, in taking over the Winter Party, that they had to keep money here in Miami. And so the way in which they were keeping money in Miami, they were going to give it to the Miami Foundation and now the Our Fund to manage.
Okay.
And so basically that's a way, because in the past, the Winter Party was done by, I believe, Care Resources. So all the money was staying here locally. So when folks negotiated with the National LGBTQ Task Force, they negotiated that all the money, like the majority of the money still had to stay here in the community. So the Miami Foundation has a bulk of money that's focused on helping LGBTQ organizations here with various initiatives. And so this particular equity fund is because of our work that we've been doing in housing insecurity, helping people, particularly not just young people, but all individuals in our spectrum, LGBTQ spectrum, with housing. And so, but this allows us to explore further partnerships and potentially leverage this for other opportunities.
And hire some more people. So, did you know when Xavier Becerra was there Tuesday that he was that money was gonna be sent to you Wednesday?
No. So my birthday was Monday, and so my birthday was last Monday, and literally last week was like I had a lot of gifts last week. So Becerra come in, which we didn't know was, you know, with these major cabinet visits, you never know if it's actually going to happen until the day of, and so it actually happened. And then you know, I had a conversation with Becerra too about some grant funding as well, and he's so supportive of Pridelines. But then the next day, this $50,000 came, which was like I didn't even expect it. Honestly, it was not. I
didn't even know I was nominated.
No, we didn't. No, honestly, we
They
didn't.
love me. They really love me.
We didn't. And like I believe like our role is just to sit back and do our work, right, and do it quietly and work with others. And so we just did not expect this, and to wake up like at 8 o'clock in the morning to this was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
How does this make you feel, Jay? Just
Oh
because
my God.
I mean, you know, you're part of Viv and everything that they do, you know, and it's like,
Pridelines has been is a visceral part of my
of your upbringing.
of my upbringing. Like I am Miami. Like Pridelines is something that has been attached to me for years. And this warms my heart, especially when you said housing insecurity, because that's what everybody knows I talk about this all the time. Like, if we had adequate housing, then a lot of things would be taken care of, especially amongst Black and marginalized LGBTQ folks. So I'm just so happy.
So Jane, you know, quite frankly, and I don't want to make this a sour moment, but I always have to talk about this because me and a lot of my colleagues were impacted by this. But about 2 months ago, we lost a trans individual on Miami Beach, and she was someone who trusted Pridelines, and she didn't want to work with any other organization but Pridelines, and she would be at our Miami Beach location all the time, and she was tragically killed because she was sleeping outside of the Miami Ballet, and. You know, again, I don't want to play God. I don't want to predict, but
no.
Had we had adequate housing,
any
organization, not just Pridelines, any organization, adequate housing for LGBTQ individuals, any housing, any housing, not even adequate, any housing for LGBTQ individuals, that
this
could have been, you know, and so. Yeah, it's my mission. It is really my mission to try to prevent that. And I'm going to do everything I can, maybe starting with youth, maybe announcement soon, who knows, and then going on to elder, you know, who are not youth. But this is my mission at Pridelines to do something about this. I don't want this to happen again.
I got to tell you that everybody here at Queer News Tonight and the Happening Out television network can't be prouder of you for everything that you've done in less than a year. We're all blown away. When you set your minds to something, Edward, you get it effing done. All right? And you put your blood, sweat, and tears, everything. You didn't even mention your freaking birthday, okay? That is how like overwhelmed he was the last couple of weeks getting things done, you know, and that is who he is. You know, I always tell the story about Edward being super happy about a shower being put in his facility. This fool, you would have thought he was going to Disney, right? He was like, oh my God, Faye, I am so happy. It finally happened today. I'm like, what? Did you finally get a boyfriend? What happened? We got showers! And I was, you know, but this is the kind of person he is, you know? So we love you. We're super proud of you. We can only imagine what's next.
And you are worthy. Always, you have to remember that. You are worthy. Your birthday came and blessings came, and you guys are worthy. You are worthy. Despite what's going on, you are worthy.
And your worthy self, tell us what the next story is.
Absolutely. Next, let's queer up social justice. Orlando gathers for post-tragedy Remembrance on June 12th. This week is a solemn date on the LGBTQ plus calendar that every queer person knows June 12th. Following the post-tragedy in 2016, the Orlando community came together under the banner of Orlando United. Now, almost 8 years later, this spirit of unity endures as the community continues to honor and remember the 49 individuals lost, their families, the survivors, and all those directly impacted. On June 12th, a day of remembrance will feature 2 significant events. The day begins with the 49 Bells ceremony at the First United Methodist Church of Orlando. This ceremony, part of the Acts of Love and Kindness movement by One Orlando Alliance, involves the tolling of bells to inspire volunteerism and support through acts of love and kindness, reflecting the generous spirit witnessed in the aftermath of the tragedy. The annual Remembrance ceremony will take place in the evening at the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts, hosted by the City of Orlando. This ceremony will bring together community leaders, first responders, and the families of the victims and survivors to honor the 49 angels taken and all those impacted by the tragedy. Admission to the Remembrance ceremony is free, but tickets are required for attendance. This annual event serves as a poignant reminder of the enduring strength and unity of the Orlando community. Further details are available on postorlando.org. This is I'm glad that Orlando has come together to honor the victims. We're talking 49 members of our community, 49 brothers, sisters, friends, lovers who tragically lost their lives because of hate. And so we should always remember those individuals. So I'm so glad that this is happening in Orlando. Actually at Pridelines this Wednesday as well, in honor of the Pulse victims, will do a mural unveiling on the side of our building. We have a local artist who did a mural in honor of the 49 victims. We have a couple of families who live here in Miami who lost their loved ones who will be at this ceremony as well. It'll be between 6 and 8. We'll do the unveiling, we'll have a whole ceremony, some spoken word, and then we'll have a reception afterwards. We felt like it was important to do our part as well, particularly given the fact that the One Pulse Foundation actually dismantled late last year, early this year. There was a lot of feud between the former owner of the club and the organization. She left the organization late last year. The foundation decided that they were going to close because of financial difficulties. They've raised, almost $20 million over an 8-year period, nearly 8-year period, and unfortunately, the memorial will not happen. The property where Pulse's the nightclub was located on is in flux. There's a lot of controversy behind the public dollars that was invested into this particular project. And who knows what happened to those dollars? We just don't know. And so there's a lot of back and forth between the county and the state because those dollars were invested in that property. So the property is actually up in flux because the state put a significant amount and the county put a significant amount of money in it. So there's kind of a lien on that property until the state and county is paid back. And the county has to be paid back first and then the state. So who knows what's going to happen, but the memorial won't happen. So I love the fact that Orlando still is honoring, despite this not happening, despite the foundation dissolving, that there are other groups in Orlando that's doing this. And, us right here in Miami is doing it as well. So
it's so important that you kids are doing that over there at Pridelines, okay? Because when to me, what happened at Pulse is kind of like our 9/11. I mean, 49 beautiful souls were taken from us, from someone who would avidly come to the damn bar, right? And just hated himself that much, it's an awful remembrance, but we can never forget that hate exists, and the reality is that freaking Orlando's 3 hours away. That's just part of a shred of growing up here and living here, that you live down here and it's I can just go to Orlando this weekend. Not a big deal. It could be a Disney weekend, blah, 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 So a lot of people from Orlando have lived down here or used to live down here or moved down here after all that kind of stuff happened. So it saddens me that they couldn't find a common place to figure out to get this memorial up, because I really think that our community needs it.
Yeah.
But I will say that during that that time, I couldn't get up to Orlando for anything, and I went to Pridelines, right? And Pridelines had an indoor closed event with all the pictures and all the, letting you know deep down about these beautiful people that we lost, their families, how they got there. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful just state of not it being so sad over what happened, right? And it gave us a place to go mourn. That was and that is what a memorial does. It gives you a place to go and be sad over the loss, And so it's so important that they are still doing something like this.
Yeah, I love Orlando, the city of Orlando, for what they do for the LGBTQ plus community. Our sister chapter, Impulse Miami and Impulse Orlando, work closely together. And part of your story was a part of my story with this. A group of friends was going that night to go to Pulse that night. And I was in the bed, and like I usually am. And some of them chose not to. Literally that night. Yeah. So I hopped on a plane literally the next morning and went to the memorial in downtown Orlando. And I'm happy that the tradition has continued. Yeah. I'm happy that they still hold a space for the LGBTQ plus community, especially their Pride. If you've ever seen their Pride, they shut down the entire city. Everything is gay. Everything is gay. So I really love that Orlando still holds position and holds space for us there, despite what's going on with the other organizations.
Yeah. Harrison, what does that make you feel when you're thinking about this memorial?
Honestly, it makes me think of a couple stories, but I'm just going to share one out of I have a lot I could say on this, but just, as a regular, one of those Disney, Orlando, Universal people, I did enjoy Pulse during my college years, so I remember it very well. It was a great place, a lot of community. I was actually living in, although a native to Miami, I've moved around a little bit to, get a little real world experience. I was in College Station, Texas, of all places, which is the hometown of Texas A&M when this happened. And I'm like, well, there's nobody I'm going to be able to talk to about this. This is a tragedy. I feel kind of helpless being so far away. Yeah. But this community, which is very, very conservative community, they rallied. They had this huge gathering in one of the huge auditoriums on campus, and it was standing room only. Wow. And not just, sorry, I'm going to go, and College Station, Texas. I'm not thinking Austin or Houston or Dallas, College Station, Texas. And I may or may not own some Airbnbs there, by the way. Sorry, taking a little levity out of the situation. But basically a lot was said that day, but the president of the university got up on that stage, President Young, and he said, I know for a fact that Texas A&M is an institution that has not always been there for its LGBTQ individuals, community, but we are going to be there for you now. Aww. And that really stuck with me.
Touching.
It was touching for me for, being maybe there for 2 years, but these people who had lived in the community for 40 years were like, I've never heard anybody say anything like that. I've never heard anybody own the homophobia that this institution has spread in the past. I think Texas A&M was listed as like least gay friendly university in the entire country or something. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Question.
I think the big thing is that, what Pulse reveals is that it could happen to anyone.
Yeah.
It's a club, right? So despite Takeout being LGBT, it was a club.
How many clubs are we all always at, with that many people?
So it could be anyone. It could be, that straight club that your kid is going to, right? And so I think that's what
you think you're in a safe place and you're not.
You just never know.
I kind of like the Aurora, Colorado movie theater shooting, that I not to draw but no, you're right. Here you are just watching, enjoying the Dark Knight Rises, and it's scary, but I think it's important to learn from it.
Yeah, and remember.
Learn and remember.
Where are you at on all this?
I have it resonates with me, this type of violence. I've been through many things myself. I've also been through 9/11. I've also, been through this type of catastrophe. And, one thing that I've learned, especially now when it affects my community, the LGBTQ plus community, is that, we could become stronger at these type of things, and it's the examples of, who we are in these moments. And, I just feel personally that there wasn't enough exposure around the Pulse nightclub shooting, with a year or two later, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the shooting there with the kids, I think kind of overshadowed it. And I don't feel that there was enough really told about these stories. I mean, there was some documentaries, but, from what I've seen with other, tragedies, I just didn't feel that there was enough talked about. So maybe that could have led to some of this funding that was probably so desperately mismanaged through it all. I don't know.
But that's a good point.
I think it's a great point, but part of the challenge is it's a marginalized community, right? So I hate to bring this to race, but the Black and Brown community experiences, unfortunately, tragedies like this all the time. It may not be as massive in a club, but in our communities, and so you don't hear about it. But I think the issue with the Pulse was that it's a marginalized community. So right away, the media immediately covers something else that's a part of the majority culture, right? And so all of a sudden forget about that community, a month or two or a year after, right? Because there's another hot story
something else
with the majority culture. But the Black and Brown community has experienced this for such a long time, unfortunately. And we see it in our neighborhoods, right? That where there's been massive amounts of, tragedies that have occurred, but then people just look over it. So
yeah. It's unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Jamaal, what's next, sweetheart?
Next, let's queer business. Out Leadership's 2024 index highlights increasing risks for LGBTQ plus community. For 6 years, the gay advocacy group Out Leadership has produced an index gauging the business climate for gay and transgender people state by state, mapping out where they can live and work with the least discrimination and hardship. Todd Sears, Out Leadership's founder and CEO, says he was not surprised when the average score fell again in 2024 as Republicans sharpened attacks on gay and transgender rights heading into the presidential election. Out Leadership's State LGBTQ+ Business Climate Index ranks states based on how they treat the LGBTQ+ community, from government policies to prevalent attitudes. Not surprisingly, red states generally ranked as high risk for gay and transgender people, while blue states are considered more safe. New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts remained at the top of the Out Leadership Index in 2024, while Arkansas received the lowest score since the index began. The largest decreases were driven by rising anti-LGBTQ+ sentiment and state legislation restricting gay rights, including so-called Don't Say Gay bills in Florida, Indiana, Kansas, and North Carolina. Looking at the statistics, Sears highlights the importance of businesses standing by the LGBTQ+ community during these challenging times. Well, this is very interesting that we're in 2024 and we're supposed to be progressing forward, and it just seems like the clock just keeps being rolled back due to the most idiotic things that we see in politics, in the headlines, in the news. Like, these things actually do move society.
Yeah.
Like, this shows that these actually do have, the book bans, they actually do have a impact. The transgender bathroom bills and all the other stupid ass bills that we've seen thus far and that are paraded and around to protect the children. We see that they do have an impact from this survey.
They do.
And it's just fortunate that we live in this bubble over here in South Florida.
Well, and it's like, and how do we navigate around that? We just did a story 2 stories ago about Airbnbs and being safe in certain places and Wilton Manors being in the top 10. The reality is that if you can work, eat, and sleep in Wilton Manors and go nowhere else, there's a high probability that you'll be okay, but that's not the case everywhere else, Certain organizations put out, travel bans to Florida that hurt a lot of our businesses here, telling people that it wasn't safe because of the target on the transgender community's back.
Yeah.
And
to pick up to your point, Faye, I hate when my friends say, "Oh, I'm banned Florida. I'm not going to Florida because of, the governor." That's no way to fight the fight, right? That's no way to help us who actually live here. And I'm always reminded of Nelson Mandela and the ANC when they were fighting in South Africa against apartheid. They had originally left South Africa, right? Because they were being hunted by the apartheid government, and they were being jailed, and so a lot of them left. But what they quickly realized was that they were not going to win the battle, right? They were not going to win a battle from other countries. They had to fight the fight on the ground. So they all came back to South Africa to fight the fight. And I believe the same thing here is that we can't flee Florida, right? Or we can't, like, it's shame on our friends and shame on people to not come here because of what the governor's doing. We're not going to win the battle, right? If we all of a sudden, everybody, all the gay folks are like saying, oh, I'm not traveling, I'm not going there because it's not like, we're not going to win a battle. We're going to just feed right into the governor and the governor's going to win. So we have to stay here. We have to fight the battle.
He wants us to leave.
He wants us to leave, right? He wants us and our businesses to go, right? So we're not going to help.
When we say that.
Right. So we're not going to help our businesses by leading, and our friends are not going to help us who live here and who have to deal with this by not coming here.
Listen, I understand if you have children, I get that. If I had a transgender child, I would probably leave the state. That would be the only reason.
Somebody I know did. Yeah.
Because of gender affirming care, etc. Right? But but this Latina lesbian, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going down with the boat.
We gotta fight
going down with the ship. You're gonna have to take those palm trees from my lesbian hands. Like, I'm not. You will not take me out. There is no way. And I know people like Edward are gonna stick it out just like I am. There's just no way.
Yeah, because we need y'all to be on this newscast for people in Arkansas who's low on the list.
That's right.
To see that gay people actually exist. Good Lord. I've been to Arkansas. I've been to Little Rock and I've been to Fayetteville, where it's the home of Walmart. And it's...
I need to pick up soap and a gun. Let's go to Walmart. Just about. Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Fred Grimm's last column in Sentinel calls Florida a gay-bashing authoritarian dystopia. Longtime South Florida columnist Fred Grimm has written his final piece for this week for the Sentinel after 56 years on the job. In his farewell column, he reflects on a career covering a range of tragedies, from natural disasters and KKK rallies to mass murders and drug wars. However, he claims that nothing compares to the current toxic atmosphere in Florida. Grimm's lead reads, quote, "Not that it hasn't been fun chronicling Florida's descent into a waterlogged, python-infested, uninsurable, hurricane-pummeled, book-banning, gay-bashing, authoritarian dystopia, but I'm out of here," end quote. Throughout the piece, Grimm oscillates between sober observation and caustic cynicism, hallmark traits of his style. He recalls that while photographers received bulletproof vests, reporters were given skinny notebooks and Bic pens to protect themselves. This minimalist armor sufficed for decades until the political climate shifted with the elections of Donald Trump and Ron Don't Say Gay DeSantis. The rise of a homophobic right wing led Grimm to reassess his career. At 76, Grimm has chosen to retire. Talking about the current political environment and the status of news media, Grimm says that nowadays, when journalists expose the unseemly actions of Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, their campaigns turn the revelation into a fundraiser, making Grimm wonder if he was inadvertently working for the DeSantis campaign. At the end of his column, Grimm says, quote, "Time to leave this space to writers of the glass half full kind," end quote. This column has since gone viral, garnering attention from outlets like Fox News. Wow. Okay. So Grimm, 56 years doing this incredible job of being able to, experience and write his feelings about horrible things like mass murders and KKK things. And the one thing that broke his back, the one straw that broke the camel's back, was how our community's being treated. Basically, it was like, I can't do this anymore. It's time, and he has seen it all, folks. I mean, this gentleman has seen it all. And for it to come to this point and where he's like, wow, you know what? This community is being attacked at all sides. This doesn't even make any sense anymore. I don't know what I'm writing these days. It's not where it was 56 years ago, and I'm out.
Yeah. Time to retire. You
Time
know
to
what?
Be out.
Sad. But he deserves his rest too. 56 years. He deserves his retirement after. I mean, if you're writing about this over and over and over again, it has to take a toll. Mm-hmm. And at some point, you have to put your mental before anything else. My platform. Get your rest, baby. Yeah. Get your rest and put yourself as priority. So this self-care that he's going on, I get it, baby. I get it. Go on your self-care hiatus. hiatus. You deserve it
Jamaal
at
is so
76.
sweet. Jamaal is so sweet. I'm like, listen, you're retired. Now you can become an advocate. That's where
right.
I'm at. I'm sorry. Like, if you've seen us suffer, then come and join us. You ain't working, right?
Yeah.
You could be helping us.
Why not?
Or you could just give us your money. You know, I'm always for
That
giving
always helps
money.
too. Absolutely.
I'm always for
I'll take it.
access to money and access to all of the resources. Yes, that is the way to go.
But his voice is needed in some way, shape, or form. You boys don't think?
No, I mean, I think
We
it
have
is.
new
I think, and I get his frustration. You know, there was a point in the story where you read that the fact that you can write something and unveil something really bad about the candidates, but yet their campaigns turn it into this major fundraiser. And wait, people actually donate millions of dollars to these people. Look, I mean, think about this. And I know we're talking in regards to our community, but look at Donald Trump. He got indicted, and then they turned around. Well, he got charged. He was found guilty.
34 times.
And $80 million in 24 hours or 72 hours. I can't remember. $80 million.
So this homophobic, discriminatory. Anyhow.
Where does the responsibility of like the news to feed into these ill-informed people, let's just call it the PC thing, that, you know, every time they put so much time and attention on these, you know, clickbaited type of stories, that the people clicking on it will open their wallets.
Social media has thrown out responsibility and accountability. I don't know if that is like we're in the age of
information.
We're in the age of information, but as far as discernment goes, of course, ill-informed people don't have discernment when it comes down to information. So it is just whatever goes. So you have to just watch out for. Or you have to educate yourself and be a researcher and an investigator and dot the facts.
Right, and I think that was Grimm's point, is that like he would produce these stories with very like the facts, like factual things, but they would turn it around, and then people would just listen to what the campaigns are saying and then give them money, right? Yeah. So I think your point is apropos, is that you have to like self-educate, unfortunately. Yeah. And I think the media has tried and tried and tried, but I think that that's part of the strategy, is right. They're gonna write about them and they're gonna say you're liars, you're fake news, right? And then the majority of people believe them, right? You know, oh, it's Trump. Yeah, it is fake news. They're just out to get him, unfortunately.
People always encouraged me to watch the news when I was younger, and I always said I got my news from South Park. That was my answer to everything.
Saturday Night Live.
Or SNL. Yes. Exactly. There you go.
Next, let's queer up travel. Visit Lauderdale celebrates Pride Month with festivities and support for LGBTQ+ community. Rainbows take center stage in June as Visit Lauderdale invites you all to celebrate Pride. Greater Fort Lauderdale hosts beach parties, river parties, and family-friendly activities and supports small LGBTQ+ businesses. Highlights include the Gayborhood, Wilton Manors, and the Stonewall Pride Festival and Parade on June 15th. While you're in the city, you can also stay at the Worthington Resorts or Wilton Manors luxury Casa Hermes guest house. You can enjoy drag shows at venues like Lips. Pride events in June also feature Women's Press Play Weekend. Also features Flockfest. Features Flockfest Splash Rainbow Edition and a whole lot more. If you have to visit one place in June, it has to be Greater Fort Lauderdale. Everyone under the sun. For more details, visit visitlauderdale.com.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
We finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ Plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Celebrate July 4th with HOTspots Happening Out's fireworks cruise. HOTspots Happening Out's July 4th LGBTQ Plus fireworks cruise will take place aboard the yacht Musette. Boarding begins at 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. with a return at 10:30 p.m. The event features a cash bar and free light appetizers. The fireworks cruise celebrates America's 248th birthday. The cruise on Fort Lauderdale's New River will move to the Intercoastal Waterway for Fort Lauderdale's giant fireworks show. There will be an onboard entertainment, and the 2023 cruise was a complete sellout. This is a very rare LGBTQ plus July 4th fireworks cruise and the only one in Florida. Tickets are $45 until June 30th and $60 starting July 1st, if available. Further details are available on hotspotsmagazine.com. Fantastic. I love the fact that we can have a little bit of, firework LGBTQ plus, as part of the American celebration, because we are part of America, so good for us.
Right? And it's a good ass party too. I went there last year and it sold out, and they had drag, they had go-go dancers, they had light bites, they had great music, but there is no better place to see the fireworks than from the Intercoastal. Yeah. That is where you need to see the fireworks from. I had never seen it from a boat before, and that was just it's there, it's on you. It's wow, it's incredible. It really is.
Looks great.
It's going to sell out for sure. Ed, what's next?
55 years of celebrating our LGBTQ history, from the 1969 Stonewall riots to the 2024 Stonewall Parade. These are the stories of Stonewall Pride. Memorial Health System talks LGBTQ plus health and Stonewall Pride. Since its inception in 1953, Memorial has delivered high-quality healthcare services to South Florida residents. Committed to advancing health to meet community needs, Memorial stands out as one of the largest public healthcare systems in the nation. It's highly regarded for its exceptional patient and family-centered care. Now, Memorial Healthcare System is once again showing its commitment to South Florida and its residents by sponsoring an event like the Wilton Manors Stonewall Pride Festival and Parade. It is a perfect example of how LGBTQ plus healthcare and LGBTQ plus social justice intersect in Pride. This Pride commemorates an important incident of not only LGBTQ plus history, but also American history. More than 50,000 are expected for the Stonewall Pride Festival and first ever Night Glow Parade this Saturday, June 15th.
55 years of celebrating our LGBTQ plus history, from the 1969 Stonewall riots to the 2024 Stonewall Parade. These are the stories of Stonewall Pride. Getting ready for a cashless Wilton Manors Stonewall Pride Parade and Festival. Yes, we are. There's something new at this year's Stonewall Pride Parade and Festival. The famous Wilton Drive will close for Stonewall Pride, and entry on June 15th is a cashless event. No dinero. You are encouraged to save time and pre-purchase your Wilton Manors Stonewall Pride wristband at stonewallpride.lgbt. Both general and VIP admission can be reserved with pre-sale tickets. No matter which event you want to be part of, cashless entry is possible. Be it the Women's Lounge presented by State Farm, or the Black Excellence Lounge presented by Crown and Anchor and Anthony Wynn Entertainment, or the Glow Night Parade. Tickets are $3 higher on the day of the event, but are still cashless purchases at Wilton Drive entry points. More than 50,000 celebrants are expected, and it promises to be the LGBTQ plus event of the year, with 9 stages in South Florida's first ever LGBTQ plus night parade.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Equal Pride celebrates Pride Month with star-studded NYC event featuring Miss Bouvier. Equal Pride, parent company of Out and The Advocate, kicked off Pride Month with a celebration at Somewhere, Nowhere, NYC. It was hosted by ABC's Sam Champion and RuPaul's Nina West. Champion conducted a short Q&A with the cover stars of these magazines, and West led a margarita toast of Jonathan Groff and Wayne Brady. The event featured a DJ and a violinist playing covers of hit songs. Guests also enjoyed a rooftop photography by Matt Monif. Among the Broadway guests attending the event was South Florida's very own Miss Bouvier. She told Queer News, quote, "It was such an honor and a privilege to be in that room, in that city, and in the magazine that I have worshipped and respected for years. It definitely set a prideful tone for me for the month, nay, year," end quote. That set a special tone for me too. I'm happy for her. I'm happy to have representation from South Florida up in an NYC event as dazzling as this one.
Right, I saw her pictures on social media and they were just incredible. And again, representation, to see that our Wilton girl is up there representing us, right? And the tatted violinist was with her. I love Marcos Acox, right? And it's just a wonderful thing because he had just become a U.S. citizen the day before. And he got to be there and play these incredible songs with Miss Bouvier with the Statue of Liberty behind him. Like, it doesn't get any better than that.
Right.
I love this story.
She's fantastic. Like I just love her, and no better representation than her to be representing us here in South Florida, New York, in that big city. So I love it.
From somebody who also knows Miss Bouvier on a personal level, when she did that live video, you know, she didn't really tell anyone where she was going. She just popped up there. She goes, "By the way, special announcement," and the overwhelming positivity and appreciation that people showed there, it just really resonated with me and many others.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I look forward to meeting Miss Bouvier. I've heard a lot about her in Wilton Manors, and I haven't had the pleasure yet of seeing her show. But you know, I hear a lot of great talk, and hopefully, I think she's performing at Pride Fantasia, if I'm not mistaken.
Matthew Darren loves him some Miss Bouvier, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's a part of it.
I'll have to make a beeline over to the Bouvier department.
You know, Matthew Darren has a way of making all his friends work for him, right? So everybody that and the thing is that Matthew Darren only has talented friends, right? So basically everybody, all his friends are part of that. I got to make that connection because you need to meet Miss Bouvier.
Yes, I'll be there, so definitely I'll
make that happen. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. That's Queer Up Entertainment. Doctor Who kisses Jonathan Groff and history is made after 61 years and 880 episodes. In this week's Doctor Who episode, Rogue, Gatwa and Jonathan Groff share a passionate kiss, marking the Time Lord's first fully fledged gay male romance. There was no press release or advance warning to fans that the scene had been filmed. With queer writer Russell T. Davies leading the new season and Gatwa, a queer actor, playing the Doctor, fans had anticipated this groundbreaking moment, and now historical gay romance is official in one of the world's longest running television shows. So I've never seen Doctor Who. I have no interest in Doctor Who. I've never watched Doctor Who. But one of my favorite drag queens, Jinx Monsoon, is on it now. So I am going to watch it. And for this queer kiss, for sure. I'm on it.
I tried. Because we did the story about Jinx Monsoon a few weeks back. So I was like, oh, what is this? Oh, handsome Shooty Gatwa. He is so sexy. So I was like, oh, I'm going to watch. And
you haven't yet?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
We were on that same show. We were. Yeah, I did the same thing, but it fell.
I found that there was no press about it. You know, that they just kind of made it just like as though it was just a regular story that you're watching.
Because it is. And I love that.
Exactly.
That's the way it should be.
That's what's so beautiful about it is that, you know, it's just basically the norm in society now. And it's so great to see vehicles like that have been on TV for such a long time, now just doing that.
And Disney has been doing that in a lot of their programming lately. It's just queer, they, non-binary, anything of the marginalized is just put on there. There's no press, there's no pomp and circumstance. It's just making it feel more normalized, which is that's what we want.
What it should be, I can't believe, I think it was like a Marvel show or something like that where they had the trans flag like on the wall of the kids' room. You know what I mean? Something so little. You don't have to do much for us. You wear a pride flag on your lapel and we're like, ooh, you're loving us. We don't need a lot.
Exactly.
You know?
That's right.
For me, it's the Chucky TV series, the way they've spinned into that. I guess
Chucky's gay?
No, Chucky is a huge ally. That's all I can say.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
I would totally watch it if it wasn't like disgusting and gore and it killed people and gave me trauma about my
childhood. The things you learn here at Queer News Tonight.
Wow.
Well, I guess that is it today for LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening show. If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of HOTspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, FayWhat? And on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Dr. Edward Summers, Otto Zielke, Jamaal L. Starks, and Harrison C. Davies, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you good night.